friends, and welcome back. This week, I'm going to be sharing with you the number one thing that you are doing that is linked to chronic illness and chronic symptoms. This is like the underlying cause of what creates chronic illness and chronic symptoms, and that is living in a state of fear. So, first, I'm going to explain 3 ways that you could be living in a state of fear. So, give you guys some examples, some context for you, and then I'm going to share with you 3 ways that you can shift out of this fear state so that you can welcome in healing. So, one of the first ways that you could currently be living is in fear is like fear of exposing yourself, fear of symptoms, fear of like triggers that could be making your symptoms worse. So I know for me, when I was sick, I was terrified of food because I had such bad food sensitivities. I was only able to eat 7 foods. If I ate anything other than those 7 foods, my body would go into like insane, excruciating pain. So I was terrified of foods. I was scared to even like touch certain foods because I was just so scared that it would put my body into a flare. Or for you, maybe you're scared of like chemicals, getting exposed to like certain smells or certain sounds that trigger you. Or maybe it's exercise or having like a super long day at work. Maybe those are the things that scare you and make you feel like your symptoms or your illness are going to get worse. But I want you to kind of take a look at your life and like see, what are you scared of? What are you fearing? And why are you fearing it? Because when we fear these things, it actually teaches our brain to respond negatively to them. So when I was terrified of food, that was making my symptoms and my illness worse. That was making my food sensitivities worse because that fear was teaching my brain, like, yes, these things are dangerous. And so my brain was like, oh, okay. And so it made sure to keep creating symptoms when I would consume these foods because I was telling myself that they were bad and that they should be avoided. So take a look at your life and see, where are you projecting fear? What are you scared of? And what are you scared of happening? Another way that you could be experiencing fear is just like fear of life in general. Maybe like you walk down the road and you're kind of just scared of people. You're fearing other people and like if they have bad intentions or if they're safe. Maybe you just don't feel safe in your life or in your body in general. Or maybe you're watching the news and you're seeing all of the horrible things that they're broadcasting that are going on in the world, and it's just making you feel like generally unsafe in your life and on this earth even. A third example of how you could be living in fear is just general fear of like yourself, fear of like what's going on in your body. Fear, like when, say, you get a headache and then all of a sudden you're like, shit, do I have a brain tumor? Like, do I need to go to the hospital? Or even just like fear of like losing control, right? Because when you're dealing with chronic symptoms and chronic illness, you feel like you have zero control of your life or of your body. And so maybe that's where your focus is. That's what you're fearing the most, is just like not understanding what's going on and loss of control. So I want you to take a look in your life and see, are any of these examples resonating with you? Or maybe there are some other things that you're fearing that I didn't mention, and you can absolutely share in the comments. Share like, what are you fearing in your life right now, and how do you think that's impacting you? Now I'm going to step into sharing with you guys 3 ways that you can shift out of this fear state, which is necessary if you want to heal your body, because fear is what closes you off to healing. So we need to get you into an open, expansive, peaceful state so that we can open you up to receive the healing that you're so dying to have. So say you are someone who is fearing like exposure to like food or chemical or too much exercise. I want you to look at this and I want you to ask yourself, why does it scare me? And I want you to face it. Like, actually look at this thing and say, like, is this something I should be scared of? Why am I scared of it? and really like look at it like worst case scenario. Like, okay, so what if I do over exercise? What does that mean? Or what if I do accidentally eat a food that my body responds really negatively to? What does that mean? The worst thing that it means, guys, is that you're going to have a rough few days. You're going to have a few days where you're flared up with your symptoms. But does that mean you're dying? Does that mean like it's the end of the world? No. It just means that, like, yeah, it's going to be hard for a few days, but can you handle a hard few days? Absolutely. Because you've been living with these chronic symptoms and this chronic illness for how long now, right? You are such a fucking trooper. If you can live the amount of time that you have lived up to this date, I know for certain that you can get through a few rough days if you accidentally get exposed to something that you've been trying to avoid. When you look at like worst case scenario, it helps take the fear away because you're looking at it in the face. You're looking at your biggest fear in the face because your biggest fear isn't over exercising or eating the food you're sensitive to. Your biggest fear is actually what will happen when you do that thing that you're scared of. So, like, let's pretend it happened. Let's pretend we're worst case scenario. We eat the food, we eat the gluten. Now what? Now what? And like sit with it and know, like, hey, even if that does happen, I'm still gonna be okay. And when you can do that, you're really facing that fear and owning it and making it so it doesn't have power over you anymore. The second way that you can heal your fear is by using logic. And I use this with my clients inside my program, Total Healing, all of the time. We use logic to talk ourselves out of fear constantly. So, say, for example, you have a food sensitivity to dairy and you accidentally eat some veggies that were cooked in butter and you're like, "Oh shit. What's going to happen now? Like I'm going to respond. I'm going to have a negative reaction," and you're terrified. So, this is when I want you to use logic and I want you to look back in your life and ask yourself, "Have I ever ate butter before? Did I used to eat butter when I was younger? And did it cause me to swell up and have all of these random ass symptoms that I have now?" No. No. You used to be able to eat these foods perfectly fine. Right now, in your present reality, you seem to not be able to, but in the past, you were able to. And so using this logic helps remove the fear because you realize, like, this isn't some toxic, like, chemical. This isn't poison. This is something that your body was perfectly capable of processing years in your past. So why in the world would it not be capable of processing it now? Why in the world would that thing go from being okay for you at one point to being like poison to you now, right? It doesn't make sense. And that's because it's not actually the food. It's the your brain responding to the food. That food has become a trigger to your brain and your brain goes, "Oh, when he or she eats this, we are going to make sure to send signals of symptoms to their body." Not because it's actually the butter or the food that's doing it. It's not. It's your brain's attachment to that trigger. So all we have to do is just shift that attachment within your mind and go and teach your brain, like, hey, butter is safe. Butter is not dangerous. Butter is not poison. And when you can teach your mind that over time, it will stop sending signals of symptoms to your body every time you consume that food. And the way to really do this is to rewire your brain through a 9-step process that I teach inside my program, Total Healing. But if you aren't inside my program and you're not brain rewiring, what you can start to do in the meantime is to use logic and remind yourself, like, hey, I might react to this food right now, but I didn't used to. So I know that at some point I'm going to be able to eat this food again. And keep reminding your brain of this constantly. And this will really help remove you out of that fear state. And the third and final way that I'm going to share with you to help remove you out of this fear state is just let go. Release and trust in the divine timing of the universe. I know right now you feel like this is some horrible thing that's happened to you, and you feel like a victim, right? And you feel like, why does everyone else get to live these happy and healthy lives, and I'm stuck here sick, a prisoner in my freaking body, right? I know you're feeling that way because I used to feel that way. But I want you to remember that your illness isn't just something that happened to you. It's actually happening for you. And it's happening for the most beautiful reason that you just can't see right now because you're in the midst of it. But years later, you're going to look back on this and it's going to make so much sense. And you're going to be so grateful that you got sick. Like, I look back now and I'm like, oh my God, I would never want to relive that. If someone told me I had to relive it, I would probably have a mental breakdown. And I would never wish it on my worst enemy. But would I take it back? Hell no. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. And if I had to go through all of that again to get to where I am today, I would, because it was worth it. It was the most beautiful gift I've ever received, and it was one of the best things that has ever happened to me in my life. And it's the same for you. You just can't see that in the moment because you're in the thick of it. But just keep reminding yourself, even though I can't see right now why this is happening, even though this doesn't make any sense to me, I know that there is a greater purpose to this. And I know that in divine timing, at the right timing, not at my timing, not when I think I should be healed, but when the universe knows is the perfect time for me, that is when healing will come for me. And oftentimes, guys, this is this is when, once you've learned the lessons that you needed to learn. Because like I said, your illness isn't just happening to you. It's happening for a reason. There are lessons that you're supposed to be learning through this process. But if you haven't sat down and relaxed into this and like looked at the situation and learned the lessons, you're never going to heal from this illness, because the lesson's going to keep repeating and repeating and repeating until you finally figure it out. So figure out what the lesson is, learn the lesson, and then trust that when you do, at the perfect timing, at the timing that will lead you to your best, happiest, most fulfilled life, that is when healing will come for you. So just remember, there is purpose in this. There is so much purpose in what is happening to you right now. So please stop judging it. Stop creating any negative stories around it, and just remind yourself, like, I got this. This is a good thing, and this will be over soon, and this is going to be the best thing that has ever happened to me in my life. And that is something to not fear at all. And this is really the basis of what I teach inside my program, Total Healing. I teach so many different things over the course of 12 weeks, but what we're really doing with all of the different tools you're learning is you're learning how to shift your body, shift your energy out of fear and into a state of love and peace. And this is what you will learn within the 3 months of my program, Total Healing. So if you're ready to shift out of fear and into love, and shift out of sickness and into health, and learn how to do it all on your own through your own powers, self-healing yourself, shoot me a message or head to my Instagram profile and click the link in my bio, and you can learn all about my proven program, Total Healing, and you can sign up to join the waitlist. The next round is opening in January, so it'll be open for enrollment all of January. So head over there, make sure and book a call and see if this sounds like something that you would like to do for yourself. Now, I would love to hear from you. So please comment or shoot me a message and let me know, like, what ways are you still living in fear? And have you found anything to help you shift out of that? Or are you in need of more support? Let me know whatever questions and comments you have. I cannot wait to hear from you.